I know a mother who has a young child, and one day the child was handling a glass, and the inevitable happened. The child was careless and pushed the glass off the edge of the table. I don't know exactly how it happened, and dropped the glass on a hard floor, and the glass exploded into pieces of glass. And the child obviously felt horrified, ashamed. She could see it all over her daughter's face. And mom said, picked her up, took her to a place far away from the glass. I can't remember, a couch or somewhere, and sat her there. And she said, hang on, stay right here. I'll be right back. Just like that, with that expression, with that intonation. Stay here. And she'd been consistent enough with the child that she knew the child would stay there and not go run in the glass. That's remarkable. Then she called me and she described what had happened. And she said, how can I handle this? Because, her initial reaction was, how could you be so stupid? Which is what we usually say to our kids. How many times have I told you to not put your glass on the edge of the table? I made some suggestions. And later, she wrote to tell me what she had done with them. She'd followed them, but she'd put her own twist to it, and it was just lovely. So I'm sharing it with you. Mom went back, and she took the child away from the glass, didn't even focus on the broken glass. And she said to the child, you feel bad about breaking the glass, don't you? And the child was nodding. You've all seen it. Frowning, ashamed. Yes, you may kill me now. You know the expression. And mom said, many times I have made you feel bad when you've done things like this, haven't I? Now, I don't know the exact age of the child, but enough that the child understands the words. Like clearly, this wasn't a 1-year-old. Mom says, I have frowned. So mom went on to explain what she's done. I have frowned, I've raised my voice, I've told you that you were bad, I've told you you shouldn't do it, haven't I? And the child is still hanging her head, but not so much, and nodding and going, yeah, she can hardly believe mom's saying these words. Mom says, I was wrong to do that. You needed me to love you, but I was mean. Kids understand mean. Don't always understand unloving. This is a small child. I was mean. I was wrong. Mom took her daughter over to a mirror and sat on the floor next to her. So mom's sitting on the floor. The child is in her lap or standing next to her. I can't remember. I think standing, but it didn't matter. And mom said, look at that girl, pointing at the reflection of her daughter. Yeah, you, the one in the mirror, the one I'm touching right here. And the girl began to lift her head. She was less ashamed because what? Of the tone of the mother. It's tone that makes our children ashamed. How do we get rid of it? Change your tone. Well, which really means change you. Because you can't fake this. Mom said, do you know what I see when I look at that girl? And the girl was shaking her head. Mom said, I see you. You. I see the daughter I love. I see a lovely girl who tries to do the right things. You really try. Sometimes you make mistakes because you don't know what to do. Sometimes you make mistakes because you weren't paying attention and there was an accident. But they're just mistakes. They're not you. Now, mom had cleverly brought with her a couple or 3 pieces of the broken glass. She held those up close to her daughter. She said, these are just a mistake. Now look at those. Do the broken pieces of glass look like you? The daughter's looking right at her own face in the mirror. Do these broken pieces of glass look like you at all? And the child said, no. Mom said, they really don't. You are beautiful to me. I love you. These pieces are just a mistake. And they don't look like you at all. They're not you. You are not a mistake. You just made a mistake. And we can fix that. We can clean it up together. Maybe not entirely. You don't need fixing. You need loving. And the daughter responded by just throwing her arms around her mother and cried with relief. And the shame was gone. Cool. New subject. This is from a mother who has been practicing real love. Her daughter is 5. And mom saw that she was not happy. Mother listened. No words were spoken, but mom listened to the facial expression and body posture. Listen's the best word. You can listen to behavior, to tones, to facial expression. We're just going to call it listening because it's too complicated to say all that other stuff. Make observations and listened. Mom said, "You look unhappy." Not what's wrong, because most children and adults, if you say what's wrong, they fill the rest of that sentence in with you. Just identify the problem in a general way and let the child fill in the blanks. Require they participate instead of just lecturing at them. Daughter said, "Susie," her best friend, "isn't playing with me this afternoon. She's playing with Marta," another kid in the class. Obviously, she felt bad about that. Like she'd been betrayed, as most kids do when their best friend is playing with anybody. And mom said, "How do you feel?" Ooh, this is brilliant parenting. Not, "Oh, that's okay. You can play with her tomorrow." No, that's placating her, trying to change her feelings. No, she's exploring how the girl feels. She said, "How do you feel?" It's not about the playing, it's about the listening to the daughter who wants to talk about it. All of our children want to talk about how they feel. So do we. But they don't know how. The daughter said, "I don't want to talk." Why, do you think? Defiant? Nah, because they don't know how to talk about it. And they feel vulnerable, which is scary to the if they talk about their feelings, they've learned in the past that moms and dads will say things like, "Oh, no, don't feel sad." Excuse me? You just asked your child how they feel. "I feel sad." "Oh, don't feel sad." Instead, be happy because you can see your friend tomorrow. And the child is going, "Are you stupid? Do you not know how to listen?" They don't do this consciously, but they feel not listened to. Mom responds to, "I don't want to talk," very cleverly. And mom says, "I felt sad as a kid when my friends would not be with me." Brilliant. Instead of prying it out of her child, she loves and teaches. She teaches her child that sad is okay and that mom has felt sad. That kind of plows the field for the child. So it's easier for the child to plant the seeds of truth and see what happens. The child says, "Okay, a little sad." The child just told the truth. Because of the gentle loving and teaching of mom, the child just offered her soul to her mother. She was vulnerable. This is a sacred moment, no kidding, in front of her mother, which paves the way for the child to feel loved while she's being herself, which in this moment includes being sad. Beautiful. Mom says, "Do you know what I do now when somebody can't do something with me, like your friend?" Daughter shakes her head. "I remember that I have people who love me. I have friends who love me. And I feel it. I remember it. When they can't be with me, I still feel the love that I have from these people. I don't lose that. Other people get to choose to have other friends sometimes, but I still have people who love me." This is beautiful to say this to your daughter. Let her be sad and then tell her what you've done. You didn't tell her what she should do. Now, what you might consider saying to her, and I say this for the benefit of everybody, it's just another metaphor to use with a child that they will remember because it's very personal. So you say to the child, "When you're asleep, do I love you?" Yeah. They'll look at you quizzically because they don't know where you're going with this. Even if I'm with Daddy or somebody else, do I still love you? Yeah. Remember that. Even when I'm not with you, I love you. Even when you're with your friend, I love you. Even when your friend is with somebody else, I love you. When you remember that, you might not be as sad when your friend plays with somebody else. You're loved while you're asleep. In other words, this is the lesson you're teaching about. You're loved all the time. You're loved when you're asleep. You're loved when your friend is somewhere else. It's just the love isn't being proven to you all the time. You don't use these words with a 5-year-old child. This is loving and teaching. Beautiful thing to see. Miraculous thing to see. Each year, I walk around the woods in my backyard to check on the condition of the large trees. I like large trees. Why? If I let a tree die, I live in the southeastern United States where it's on the whole warm and pretty much wet all the time. If I let a tree die and stand dead for more than a year, it rots right where it stands. Now, there are two problems with that. One, rotten wood is useless. Can't burn it in campfires or fireplaces or turn it into anything. And two, when a tree rots, how it falls then becomes completely unpredictable. It can crush healthy younger trees around it that you want to save. It can fall on outbuildings. It can block paths. It can block creeks. If nobody's living around a tree that's going to fall, who cares? But if there are people living, yeah, it's not safe to let a tree rot and just fall where it wants to. In fact, in all these years, only once have I seen a tree fall anywhere near me. So not likely, but do you want to be the one guy who gets hit by a falling 12,000-pound oak tree? So if I see a tree that has freshly died or is about to, you can tell that too, I cut it down so that it falls in a way that minimizes damage to whatever is around it and is also more accessible to being cut up and either carted away, burned, used for wood, whatever I want to do with it. So one day in early spring, I saw that a tree had died during the winter, and you can tell when it's not been dead for long. So I began the process of dropping the tree. First thing to do is to cut away the brush so that you don't trip on things with a chainsaw while you're running away from the 12 to 20,000 pound tree that's about to fall on your stomach. Cut away the brush so you can move away. Second, inspect the trunk and smack it with a blunt axe to be sure the tree isn't hollow or rotten, because a rotten tree is really dangerous to cut down because all the normal felling techniques are not reliable when a tree is rotten. It behaves however it wants to behave when it's rotten. As you cut a healthy tree, you can predict how cuts will behave. I can drop a tree on a Coke can. But a rotten tree can collapse and fall at unpredictable times and in unfortunate ways that can result in injury and even death to the cutter. Not joking. I'm quite aware of that when I'm doing that. Before my first cut was done, my saw blade came out. It was covered with a sticky brown substance, which is a little odd right off. Sometimes you just see brown and you realize there's some rot in there. I'm thinking something's going on in there. So I made another small cut on the other side, just kind of testing. And this time something happened I had never seen cutting a tree. It was like diarrhea. This tree had diarrhea right in front of me. Liquid rot just poured out of these two cuts all over the ground like a waterfall. It was like a baby gone mad. I inspected the tree again, and I looked closely near the cut. There was a single spot, maybe as big as my thumb, maybe not, where the brown rot was visible, or would have been visible had I looked directly at it before I began cutting. If I'd looked carefully, I would have seen it and been even more careful. I was still careful. Very rotten trees are dangerous. And I managed to drop the tree almost exactly the way I wanted. But it could have gone much worse. Most of the tree was entirely rotten, just all but a small outer edge from almost the bottom clear up to 8 feet high. it was a really unusual tree, and yet it was alive the summer before. Parenting can be like this. We have to watch for every sign that something might be wrong, every frown, every huffy attitude, every lack of caring, snippiness, being unkind to siblings or others. If we see the signs early, we can love and teach and heal the rot before it spreads. No kidding. If we don't listen to every word and tone and behavior, the rot can spread 8 feet high and kill the tree before we notice anything is wrong. It was a little late to heal this tree. I was lucky just to get it on the ground. This is our job. Nobody else can do it. Only us. We're here to teach you in the Facebook Live times that we have together, especially the parenting training, to recognize the early signs and to do something while you can, while your children are still teachable and haven't drowned yet in the consequences that the world eventually will impose on them without mercy. Isn't it wonderful that we can do something now and early to help save them? Very cool. I watched a movie some time ago, The Greatest Showman, and I got a hold of the lyrics, which were moving, and the song is really moving, especially the characters who were singing the song. And the words of the song go like this. I don't share songs very often, but here's one. I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say. No one will love you as you are. This is the message that our children get, that no one will love them as they are with their broken parts, so they have to pretend and have the latest shoes and makeup and look like their friends and have so many likes and followers and all that stuff that indicates that they're acceptable. And they're being taught this by everybody in the world but you. Well, sometimes you. We have to know that they're being taught that if we're going to understand them and if we're going to take action and do something about it. The song continues, but I won't let them break me down to dust. I know there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm going to send a flood, going to drown them out. I am brave. I am bruised. I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, because here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. And this is the message we need to teach them, that they are glorious as they are, that they're beautiful even when they make mistakes. Like the mother in this Facebook Live, or the last, this one, who had her daughter, the one, in front of the mirror and said, you are beautiful. You just made a mistake, and your mistake isn't you. Your mistake doesn't even look like you. They are glorious as they are, but when they are empty and afraid, when they don't feel unconditionally loved by us, their behaviors are not so glorious. They're not. Don't call them something else. They're not loving, often, or they're careless, or not responsible. They don't really behave as they are when they're in pain. Who does? Adults don't either. Solution, we love them, which enables them to feel who they are. We teach them so they can make choices that are congruent with who they are. The song says, another round of bullets hits my skin. Well, fire away, because today I won't let this shame in, just like the little girl who broke the glass. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors. Yeah, that's what we've become. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know there's a place for us, for we're glorious. Beautiful message for our kids to know. And the song concludes, this is me. And I know that I deserve your love. And that is what they need to get from us. Our love. Unconditional love is not just highly unlikely, almost absurdly impossible in the world to find. From their peers, they're not going to find it online, they're not going to find it on Facebook and from advertisements. They need it from us so that they can be equipped to be in the world and not be crushed by their mistakes, by their scars, as the words of the song implied. This is something we can all learn to do. To first feel loved ourselves enough that we can love them so they can feel it, and then keep going. Teach them how to be loving. Teach them how to be responsible. That's why we're here. We'll see you tomorrow.